champions of the world. It was weird. In a quiet Orlando gym, you could hear everything.
Yeah.
You could hear all of the, you know, just the comments on the side, the players, and the players kind of had to get themselves revved up. But still, that moment of jubilation was there. I was even crying. I was like, and honestly, I did after LeBron in 2016 too. Like, I just as a pure NBA fan, I just want to see it end. I thought this was a great ending. I thought Game 5 was a great way to have one of those games that will be memorable for us from this series. And Jimmy Butler and everything he put on. It was like Madison Bumgarner in the World Series.
Yeah.
When you just like that one guy who just put everything on his back. But they won the World Series. Jimmy Butler next year, we don't know what's going to happen with him. But let's talk what is it? What number is it now for the Lakers? I mean, if you got to count the Minneapolis stuff, I guess, too, right?
I'm not a numbers guy when it comes to stuff like that. I want to say it's the 13th. I could be totally wrong. And some people, they debate, well, do you count the ones in Minneapolis?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, you do. But I think what makes this different is that we all know in our gut that they did not dominate, right? They were the best team.
Yeah.
They won when they had to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they weren't flat out the most dominant. I mean, obviously, like after AD and LeBron, it's like, well, somebody needs to step up, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. You know, I'm just like, it blew me away that this series went to 6.
Really?
But for the Heat to come out,
I was surprised. I thought it was going to be 6. I thought it was going to be 6.
But I think LeBron, the way he finished Game 5, he could have taken that last shot. I mean, he doesn't really have an automatic 10-foot jumper. He's not that kind of guy, right? That's Kobe, that's MJ.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's like, I'm going to finish, or you got to follow me, or I'm going to
take it to the hole.
Mostly I'm going to drive and kick.
Brute force, yeah. Right,
so if he wanted to hit that shot, I think he could have, but he understands what's going on. Okay, I'll give Danny Green a chance.
Yes.
Okay, he missed. Okay, we move on. And this game, I'm coming for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste no energy on anything else. We're up 20 points in the first half. I'm following the game. I wasn't watching it. I was following it and looking at the score, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Miami, bless their heart, man. They just ran out of gas.
Well, yeah. I mean, this Heat roster was just not even in the same realm of the Lakers. And let's talk. This is the longest season in NBA history. This is a season that will be impacted, and Adam Silver brought this up. I got to be there the last 2 years in the room as the trophy was handed out. So it was my first time not, because I was there in Cleveland 2 years ago and last year in Oakland. And it's a cool feeling because that's like the culmination, just like being in a Super Bowl, the culmination of a year. And Adam Silver talked about, you know, just how this year will be marked by social justice movements and solidarity. And that's something I'll be proud of as an NBA fan. And to me, the NBA gets better every year. When I watched, you know, the Warriors play LeBron in his last game in Cleveland, and I was like, okay, this is his last game. I want to be here for LeBron's ever last game. And people are like, what you mean he leaving? I'm like, he going to LA, guys. I don't know if you know this. So we knew this was coming, but the NBA is getting better. The young talent is still there that we haven't seen it. But, you know, in terms of this championship and the circumstances, somebody said, like Barkley or something, was like, oh, it's like a pickup game. But you know what? If I'm watching a pickup game and it's the #1 pickup game in the whole world, believe me, I'm going to be glued into that. I don't even care if you call it a pickup game, but it had everything. The bubble had everything for me as an NBA fan. I'm totally satisfied with the way the season ended. I mean, I would have loved to see a Clippers-Lakers battle, but you know what? That'll happen eventually in LA, a series, and that'll be when LA really comes to show out. And but at the same time, you know, I just Kobe, it just seems like this was the destiny for the Lakers as well.
And you know, if it's a pickup game, I can understand that feeling because the vibe, right? You're in gym 2 at UH, whatever. There's nobody else around.
Yeah.
You see the ball bounce, you guys talking trash to each other. But once you get to a certain level of the playoffs, you're not playing pickup ball. You have to execute. You have to play defense. So the Lakers, they played great team defense when they had to, and they had 2 best scorers in the league sharing the ball. Sometimes a little too much, but then AD this year showed that, you know, I'm not just a guy who just scored a lot of points, lost a lot of shots, grabbed a lot of rebounds on a weak team. I can do this and win a championship, right? And we knew he could, but there were still people out there doubting him.
Yeah.
So now they did it, and it still feels a tiny bit underwhelming because we've seen dominant teams before, right? Whether you go back to the Celtics or the old Lakers or any other run, the Bulls, it still doesn't feel like This is the greatest thing of all time. It's not that. It's not that conversation, but it doesn't lessen the fact that they did something special. So
they did something absolutely special. Look, AD was I think Shaq gets. Shaq. Oh my God. I think LeBron gets some points as partial architect of this team, which I thought was crafted well, like a chess game.
Yeah.
I don't want to call. I called him. I likened him unto the queen, but I'm talking about a chessboard, and I think AD is the perfect. He can do everything, and he's the perfect guy to complement LeBron, who is still playing at an amazingly high clip for his age, and just the bench. And like you said, even without Avery Bradley, they still not even huge. All of their pieces.
That was huge. That was really good. That's been their bugaboo for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Right? Defense at the perimeter, having a lockdown guard. Mm-hmm. So, but you know what? Respect to Avery Bradley. He did what was important for his family. So LeBron is GM of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
He's in the conversation.
He's got to be
MVP. Giannis earned that. I don't know who the MVP for the finals are, but you could say put him in AD, put him in LeBron. So he's in the top 2 for those 3 categories. Right, and people will always hate on him because he's not 100% type A personality. Michael was, Kobe was. Yeah, a lot of people. Bill Russell, you could say he was, but he was so giving. Yeah, he just focused on rebounding and defense and passing and finishing. And
what about this name in comparison? Since you're a little bit older than me, but what about Muhammad Ali?
Oh, he was type A.
But in comparison with LeBron, So you put him in next to LeBron, though, and in terms of all their outreach and what they've done, though, it's pretty.
Outreach and Muhammad Ali, he was in a generation where they didn't have a lot of opportunities to just sit down and create opportunities for children, and I'm sure he could have if he was in this generation. Yeah. That generation is a little bit different, but just the fact that he was willing to speak his mind, right or wrong, whether you agree with him or not, he changed the template for pop culture. Yeah, American culture, and that's part of the reason why we were talking about this earlier, right, off camera, that American culture is our biggest import or export. And in every country in the world, they might have some problems with their system, whether you want to call it communist or capitalist or a little bit of both. Yeah. But they all love American culture because you're allowed to screw up and get a second chance. Yeah. You're allowed to say pretty much anything you want, and you won't get beheaded for it, right? Yeah. You won't get electrocuted, you won't get shot, you won't get poisoned. I think LeBron is part of that picture now, and people think he should be doing something extraordinary, like, well, why doesn't he say something about Nike? Why doesn't he say something about China? He's not quite there yet. He's just trying to make sure things are going well.
He said a lot. No, he said. He said a lot. He said enough. Yeah. He said too much in China because he's not. He's not in foreign relations. He doesn't have a PhD in diplomacy, so he shouldn't be talking about. He doesn't know the intricacies of that relationship. First of all,
right?
Yeah, of course.
Taking advantage. Yeah, the system is what it is. He understands that. He's not perfect, but within the context, he's done more than pretty much any current professional athlete as far as sending 1,000 kids to college,
of course,
free, and
starting a school.
Up the schools, and he's done a lot. I think most people really respect him, and then the hard-hit guys, they still want to hate on him.
Yeah, I think most people really do. It's funny because he said it now, but I think he knows he can say it. Because when he said, give me my damn respect, give me my damn respect, he paused. You saw that moment, right? And that's the biggest moment of his thing. Give me my damn respect. And he's never had to say it like that. And I feel like he had to. I feel like Serena has to say that a lot because, she's also a woman, which makes it harder. She's the greatest athlete possibly ever. Definitely female athlete, maybe athlete over all time. But she still has to get respect. There's still going to be people hating on them. But that's what happens when you're at the top of the mountain. But the Lakers, then the LeBron, his legacy expands, and we're gonna keep talking about this debate forever and ever. But congrats to the Lakers. I'm in LA right now, obviously, so I'm hearing a lot of, still some commotion, and people are happy even during the pandemic.
What did you say you heard outside?
Oh, I said I was hearing gunshots. I thought, because people fire anything they can over here. But when it comes to the NFL today, a huge day. Of course, our comments are already bombarded by Shane, who deserves it. So Shane, I have to tell the story. Shane, we're talking about the Chiefs-Raiders game, and Shane was like, "These are the preliminaries," and then the Seahawks versus the Vikings, right? So, and I was like, "Okay, well, you can prepare by watching the number one team, the Chiefs, play the Raiders." And of course, the Chiefs lost, so they're probably not the top team.
Game,
But it's funny because now the Minnesota. But you know what? He's right. Yeah, they're Seattle's at the top now. They just clearly beat an amazing 1-3 team at home like Minnesota. So clearly having to go 4 quarters with one of the top teams in the NFL like the Minnesota Vikings. A win is a win in the NFL. Everybody's gonna give you their best shot, even if it's just the Vikings.
With just running the ball to
for sure.
They can't do that in the playoffs, right? Baltimore found out last year. You got to be balanced. But then for today, hats off to Minnesota, man. That was. I mean, Madison came in and he was trucking. They couldn't stop him. I'm looking at him on fantasy. Like, well, nobody had. Well, 2 guys had him on a 4 leagues, and but then next week I think he's gonna be back on the bench. He's gonna be, and he was good like 3-4 years ago too when he played like half the season as a starter. So Minnesota, hats off to them, but you can't go for it on 4th and 1 at the 5-yard line. You gotta kick that field goal and take that 8-point lead. That's maybe I'm a little bit of a chicken, but man, I would have just kicked it because Russell. Mm-hmm. If you don't get it, that's almost like telling your defense we have to go for the touchdown because we don't think you can protect this lead. Yeah. So I'm a Rams fan, so I just feel a little bit for the Viking fans because they kind of deserve this win.
Wait, it was 4th and what? What was the yardage? What was the yardage?
It was like 4th and 1, and they've been
it was 1. I mean, like, you got to be able to go in yard, and you would have iced the game right there. It's better than points. It's better than points. It's like 1,000 points.
It's always harder after a timeout, And if you don't have something drawn up where you go little play actions, they didn't have that.
Well, that's what makes me confused.
Cousins can't move. They can't really do a play action rollout.
Yeah.
So you give them a timeout, and then they stuff it, and you could see it almost coming. I would have just kicked. I'm chicken. I would have kicked. You're up 8. Now they got to make a great drive, and then they got to make another great play on 2 points. And then if they get it, we still control the line of scrimmage, right? Madison got a little tired at the end of the drive. I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was gassed. I mean, they gave the ball to 17 runs in the first half, and then they gave him the ball probably 15 to 17 times. You live by the sword, die for the sword.
But when you look back at that game, though, Russ makes that interception. He throws at a guy that went out of bounds. So if Russ is greater than Mahomes, you can't throw to a guy who went out of bounds, Russ. But I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know that rule that you're not supposed to let the guy first touch the ball.
Yeah.
But I'll let that one go.
I didn't know that rule.
At the same time, the Seahawks remain undefeated, and a few other teams are undefeated as well, remaining. But are the Seahawks the clear number 1 team, you think, in the NFL?
After today, I'm gonna say, well, the Titans are.
Yeah.
They're interesting to watch. The Steelers are playing way over their heads right now. The Bills and their defense is really consistent. Seattle's defense, right? They have problems with the secondary injuries. Mm-hmm. Wagner got his head knocked off a couple times by Minnesota's fullback today. I mean, I've seen him dominate games. And today he was not dominant. Yeah. But he hung in there, right? I think he made that last stop. It was him on that tackle again. Their defense is like a C+ right now. When they get everybody back, then it's a B+, A-.
True. Yeah.
So I wouldn't argue against Seattle. Packers are another one. I think everybody's beatable. It's interesting.
I think so too. It's still hard to tell, but I think excuse me. I think the NFC West, which is the best division, I think. Well, maybe not anymore. Honestly, maybe not anymore. Actually, I gotta take that back for sure. I gotta reevaluate that statement. But at least looking at the Seahawks schedule so far and where they're going from here, you gotta play your entire conference coming up. I mean, they're gonna start having within inter-conference games or inter-division games, and things will start getting interesting. But also, having 2 tight games, or Seattle having to beat the Patriots tight at home on Sunday night and having to do it again. And how many times have they gone to the wire, the Seattle? I feel like every time there's a game there in that place, it goes down to end. So it's exciting. They keep it exciting at least. But Russ did engineer a great drive at the end, almost like he did on purpose. Yeah. Almost like, he had that first run, right? Like that, that was in the back of his head. Like, I can gash them for a huge, what do you have, like a 20-yard run or something on first down. So I think, when you're at that level too, you just know how to play the percentages, and you just know how to just abuse those deficiencies in the defense that you see, and you can take over just like LeBron. You know, it's like you brute force, and he's gonna win. He's not gonna win. I mean, I'm glad that the Heat made it a tough game, but we knew they weren't gonna win 6. There's no way they could replicate 5 because LeBron, all he has to do is turn it on and be like, yeah, I'm gonna win now. And it almost seemed like Russ almost did that at the end, which is kind of cool for them as well.
And they did it with one time off. They went right down the field.
Yeah.
And they did get pushed, right? They got inside the 10 and it took a few tries, but their system is so efficient, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't lost the efficiency without while they're getting more explosive, right? So when they added DK Metcalf, like he was last year, before, now you see him running these skinny post routes and whatnot, and him and Russell have that connection, right? So that it's not going to be too early, it's not going to be too late. It's going to be right here in this window, and all you got to do is just put your hands on it, and they couldn't stop it. Even the touchdown, it's like they kind of blitzed and they stopped and they held up. Right?
What did they say? It was that they said they were playing it completely safe, right? That even like the announcers were like they're in a
blitz, and then they sent out 2 guys.
They sagged back and then they just let it happen.
Just beyond the line of scrimmage, and a linebacker just stayed there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking you cannot do that with Russ, man. You got to bring something. You got to bring.
Yeah, I mean, just do something. Yeah, you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice. Yeah.
But then you got to admit to that catch by Metcalf was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not
Metcalf.
Every receiver makes that catch under pressure.
Who said that Russell Wilson said he has the chance to be the best receiver of all time? That's a DK Metcalf.
As long as Wilson, if he's there, then maybe. As long as he's there for the next 70 years.
So it's funny. I'm going to go back to Tony Gonzalez made a comment this past week. Tony Gonzalez is one of my favorite players of all time by far. He was my favorite player. When I said hi to him at the Pro Bowl, I was like, I love the Chiefs and you're my favorite player. But Tony Gonzalez talked about like he didn't like the buffet of options that Brady has. He likes you choose combo targets. So that's why Russ is now saying he wants to work on DK and getting his stats so he can be. But you like that as well. Like Tony's like, like Brady's still trying to figure out, but he's throwing to so many different guys that he needs to kind of find a few guys that he can develop that with.
Yeah. Well, I think if you have a tight end, it kind of it's a negator, right? It kind of whatever defense you're trying to play, if you have a great tight end, it negates pretty much everything. And Russ is doing it without a great tight end. He's had good ones, right? So he's got Olsen there now, but Brady always had Brown.
Yeah.
Almost always, right? For most of his career. And other quarterbacks, they've had great tight ends, but some of them haven't. So Montana, to me, running that West Coast style offense, Seattle kind of runs a version of it, a lot of play action and rollout. And Russ has done it like Montana in some ways without the world's greatest, tight end. But then they make use of a tall target, like Dwight Clark with the Niners, and then you have DK, and then you have Lockett, and you have these reliable guys who rarely drop the ball. They run really good routes. You rarely see a situation where the play ends and Russ is looking at his guys and they're looking at him, and that rarely happens. If they miss.
Yeah.
So they're peaking. So I would have bet against them to win the Super Bowl. It's just hard to beat.
The Super Bowl, they might be the favorite for the Super Bowl right now. We'll talk about another team that a lot of people thought were favorites, but then everybody's favorite other team, the Dallas Cowboys, and today, I mean, that was my favorite game of the day. I love that rivalry. I posted on my social media. I talked about like even taking a group there we did 5 years ago. Check out that video of us, Eli versus Romo, and Romo today on the mic talking about this game and so many great moments in this game. Wow, you gotta go back. This is a game that's worth watching the quick replay on if you have a chance because so many amazing moments. But I mean, obviously, even after everything, all the plays, the hits, the biggest story is one thing, and of course, it always goes back to one guy, Dak Prescott. And today, it's not the kind of news you want to hear.
Yeah, and when he took off, I'm thinking, okay, he's right in the middle of the field. Looks like he's got some DBs in front of him, maybe one linebacker. Okay, he goes left, and he's got a guy, and he's taking the guy out. Oh yeah, Dak is big. He's like 6'3", 6'5".
Yeah,
he's about 230, 240, and he's trying to stiff arm the guy. And I'm like, that's what we do when we're in high school or Pop Warner. But he's not getting up. Oh, geez, he's pointing at his ankle, and then I saw it.
No, yeah.
I'm the kind of guy, I sprained my ankle and it tore ligaments so many times.
Me too.
I see it on TV. Yeah. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, I don't need to see it. I felt it already, yeah.
I'm not looking. And when
I watched it in slow motion. I was like, oh, yep.
I just thought, man, if somebody just told him you have to slide, would he still slide? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But if he just slid like Kyler Murray does, like Russell Wilson does, all these guys, they just slide. They don't even waste any effort trying to. I mean, well Allen, right? Allen with the Bills, he'll try and run people over, but if he just slid,
Mahomes, yeah, you never see Mahomes try and hit somebody. I mean, he goes out of bounds.
Yeah, so it's
beeline.
You live to fight another day. That extra 4 yards or 2 yards is not worth it anymore.
No,
but I never thought he would be the guy getting hurt. He's so big, and it's just the way he landed, and the guy landed on his ankle. I don't know what happened, but when he's going off the field in those tears, I know the tears are like 95% physical, but that extra 5% when he's just bawling because he knows the season's over for him. I felt bad for him, man. I felt like, you know what? Maybe he deserved the money, maybe not.
He deserves it.
You can win a Super Bowl without a great quarterback, Hall of Famer.
True.
You can win with running game, defense, special teams, and just eke it out on offense. You can do that. So I understand Dallas, but a lot of people are saying, you know what? Just give him his money. Make sure you take care of him. I agree.
Yeah, he does. He needs to be taken care of.
I don't think it's over.
But now his leverage is gone, and that's the hardest part. And if you looked into the owner's booth, I think they showed it was Jerry Jones' wife was like crying as well. So
was that his wife?
I think it was his wife. They said Jerry Jones' family, so I was like, that's his wife or something. But I mean, like, Jerry Jones is like, oh,
maybe his daughter.
What a situation that I'm in now, where I have to like not have to think about the and that's hard because Dak was putting up astronomical numbers. We talk about him every week on the show because of the numbers that he's been putting up, but also he's just fun. And today's game was really fun. He had a Philly of his own and scored a receiving touchdown. That was a cool play. And that was right before the Giants had a cool play where they faked a field goal and sent their tight end out on the end, and they said the guy in the other end didn't set in time. And honestly, he should have been down maybe, but I mean, why call that? Why call that right now?
I think in high school they let that go maybe, but since everything's on TV,
but it was so weak. It was so weak. It was like, God, that's what people want to watch the game for.
It didn't affect the play. Yeah, absolute on the other side of the play.
Yes, not even on the same line, not even the same side as the play.
But that's like the equivalent. That's the equivalent of speeding. You're going 46 in a 35 zone. Do they need to give you a ticket?
Yeah, but if you did something really cool where like you had to avoid an accident and you spun and did something like that was cool. You don't want to ruin something cool.
They can give it to you. You can't say nothing. I got a ticket in that situation in the 1990s. It was like 1 in the morning. I finished work. I'm going home. Nobody there. Driving past the ghettos, right, in the basketball court.
Of course.
No cars on the road. It's a weeknight. I'm tired, and I get pulled over, and I got a ticket, and I'm like, I can't even say anything. I just, from now on, I'm going 34 miles an hour on this highway. I mean, it's a highway where the limit was 35. Okay.
Yeah.
But for that guy, you saw him on the bench after that play, and he was just like this, right? He was just like this. Right, and his teammate, the other lineman's trying to talk to him. Yeah, and that one play made a difference. There were like several plays that made a difference.
It did. I mean, that play would have changed momentum, everything, And I think that's the thing that really sucks for them is that it would have helped because the game was so close. I mean, it still came down to the very end again, and Andy Dalton came in and actually engineered a drive. To help Dallas win it, but a great rivalry, even when the division is so weak, where now the Cowboys are in first place finally at 2-3, though they're in first place. So I mean, what do we make about that division? Yeah, and we'll talk about Alex.
Van Der Esch broke his collarbone, right? And he was on one of my teams with IDP, individual defensive players. I cut him, and now they're saying he's ahead of schedule. So I don't know how you were ahead of schedule with a collarbone, right? Because if it doesn't heal 100% and you go back, you're going to injure it again, whether it's basketball, football, any sport. So unless they're giving them like extra calcium supplements or shooting it up with like some kind of metal that bonds to your bone, I don't know what they have in Dallas, but supposedly he's ahead of schedule. So if he can come back within the next 2 weeks, he's sorely missed. I mean, this today wasn't as bad, but there's been games the last few weeks where people just run right between the tackles like nothing's going on. 8 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 9 yards. It's been kind of pitiful, right? And people blame that. Well, he's losing. It's like can't really blame him for the defense, right? And the turnovers too. But this season's been about the defense, injuries. So if they get Van Der Esch back, a couple other guys back on D, and I think Dalton. He's another guy, right? I was telling you earlier, guys get hurt, and I need another quarterback in our Superflex league.
Yeah.
As soon as that guy hurt, I wrote something online. I went to look at Dalton, and he's already gone. Somebody in our league took him, and he doesn't even need him, right? He's just a backup for the guy.
Yeah, of course, just hogging it out, so no one else can take him.
Taylor, yeah. So that's his new sub, and I'm like, I can't even get Dalton. Dalton today, his stats are like mediocre, but they're gonna run the ball more, and he's gonna probably score like 25 points every game. He'll be solid. He won't be forcing the ball like he was in Cincinnati. They're gonna have a consistent run. That O-line is.
Oh yeah, the O-line. That's the one thing about Dallas is their O-line is
like,
so good.
Top 8, top 6.
Yeah. I mean, they're just clearing up room. Zeke had a decent game as well, and I think you're like you said, they'll be fine. But it's funny because that's also something that Jerry Jones told Zeke, right? He's like, I don't need a runner. I don't need what do you say, a leading running back to win a title. So now he's better. Yeah, he's lucky, but Zeke got his money, and Dak deserves it. And it's sad that he got the franchise tag because he deserved to get paid his money, in my opinion. And I think
but you know what? The Dallas deal was right for them. I mean, it's easy to point fingers at them and say they're greedy, or point at Dak and say that you haven't won anything. But the system plays itself out, and then these guys are all well off, and hopefully they'll see Dak recovering from this. I mean, he's not a run-dependent quarterback to begin with. So if he gets back to like 85%, and still can run on a 35, he can pick it up. That's all they need from him. They got even Pollard had a decent game today. They got running backs. They got a great O-line. So, if they do the right thing, things will work out. If they don't do the right thing, then Bachi, right? Karma can be a BIC.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, there'll be some Bachi, but in that division as well, we'll stay in the NFC East. Big storyline today, Washington. Obviously playing the Rams. The Rams had a great game. We can talk about that one. But as far as for Washington, Alex Smith playing, I mean, that's pretty cool to see as well. It's somebody that you didn't think we'd see back in a game again, for sure.
Well, Kyle Allen entered the game. I didn't even know that, when he got hurt, I had no idea until I saw a notification from my Yahoo Fantasy League, right? Somebody picked up Kyle Allen. I'm like, somebody picked him up already. And then somebody picked up Alex Smith. Mm-hmm. And then I saw that, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? And it happened like 5 minutes earlier. And I could use another quarterback in that Superflex league. I was like, man, are we ready to see Alex Smith really on a field with grown men, 250 to 350 pounds, coming down full speed? We really want to see that. But he got I think it was 6 times.
He got hit. Yeah, he got sacked 6 times. I mean, of all games to put him in, you make him play Aaron Donald right away.
He's perfectly fine.
Good luck with that one. I know, and he was fine. But Aaron Donald brought him down a few times, and that was nice to see. Aaron Donald had a great game because he had 4 sacks.
He had 22 points in our IDP league. But, Alex Smith, if he could stay healthy, he's not Kyle Allen because he doesn't know the offense as well as Allen, right? Yeah. Allen was with Rivera and these guys in Carolina, right? Carolina beat that front. So that means they want to play defense, rely on that they have a good defense, rely on their running game, and play slow, kind of like Minnesota, right? And that's great for them, but it's boring for us fantasy guys, right? Yeah. So they're going to do all right, whether it's Smith or not. But then I got Haskins on my team as a backup, and I was ready to cut him. Then Allen got hurt, and I thought, okay, if he's out for a while, then now he's the second string. Then I'm reading all these stories about how bad the relationship is between Haskins and Rivera because he's kind of immature. He's bragging about passing for 300 yards last week when they lost to the Ravens, and the coaches are like, you know what, forget it. So they basically want to cut ties. I don't know what they're going to get for him, but if Allen has a concussion, I don't know how he doesn't have one because Ramsey came right at him and Allen ducked his head right into harm's way, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're saying it's an arm injury. I'm like, are you kidding? Test the guy for a concussion. If he's not able to play for a couple of weeks, that means Haskins has to be the backup. And whether they like him or not, they have to come to some kind of middle ground where he understands, look, football is very tenuous. It's not indefinite, right? You have a short career. And he felt bad. I mean, when Dak got hurt, he was one of the first guys to tweet out for that. And the coaches have to realize, you know what, this guy is a kid. He played 1 year at Ohio State. Then he came to Washington. They simplified things for him because he's still growing mentally, cerebrally, and he's gonna get it. But the immature stuff, they gotta be willing to forget, because he never had a 300-yard game before. No. So to him, it was like a milestone. But you just gotta tell him, look, just keep it to yourself. Let's go for pizza afterwards and celebrate. But after a loss, just keep it quiet. Just keep it to yourself. Yeah. And get better little by little, right? You don't have to be like that in the locker room. Nobody wants to hear it. And that's all they had to do. But Rivera and those guys, they don't have any patience for that. They want professionals in their locker room, not a young kid who needs to be mentored.
Well, they want somebody that they can, for sure, manage at least. And I think
I mean, you can't blame him. So Alex Smith is probably. They said that he's going to start, even if I think they said that even if Allen comes back. So Allen came back for the second half. They kept him on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, you know he was going to come in, but it is crazy that it took him like 3 layers of things to happen. I don't know why my standings I had up there are last week's standings, but I have no idea why they're not updated, because of course I'm stealing them from Yahoo's website, or I was, but ESPN's is up to date, so I'm kind of looking that over right now. But when we look at that division, obviously in the East, the Giants lose there to the Cowboys. They're probably done. So when I'm looking at the playoffs, and I'm already, because we're in week 5, so if I'm going to look at where the playoff standings are, who's going to get cut off, or who's kind of out of it already, I'm thinking the Giants and Falcons are probably 2 teams that the 2 winless teams that there's probably no chance for them in the NFC side.
Well, you know what? The Giants are 2.5 games behind the Cowboys. So
true. Oh, that's right. If they can win their division, they can win their conference. True. They can win their division still. Yes. You're right.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
You're right.
You know what? They have their moments in offense. Of course, no Saquon Barkley. That's you could almost guarantee they can't do it without him.
And that was my biggest thing. But they played decently on defense, but they also they had a great catch. I mean, Daniel Jones was putting out some nice balls and making things happen, and they're clicking. But I feel like, so they did run another trick play on that 2-point conversion as well, right? And that was the tackle eligible. They threw back to the tackle, so they got it back. They got it back, I guess, something. But I mean, I think Romo talked about that and commented on as the game was ending, is that they're probably trending in the right way. So I think they are trending. I just don't know if they have enough to win even that division, because I don't know, maybe but now that Dak is out, I mean, who knows? Now you're right. Who knows?
Yeah, Dak's but and Washington and Philly. I mean, Wentz has been struggling. They'll make a big play, then they'll make a risky decision, and then Washington. So if I'm them, you have to play to win, especially in New York City, right? The tabloids and the papers and the media will be all over you if you're not going for it at this point. But if they still compete and don't win much, they've got 11 games left. Let's say they go 3-8, they finish the year 3-13. They're a top 5 pick, right? And you can do more with a top 5 pick in every single round than you could if you went. Let's say they win half the game. Let's say they win 6 out of the last 11, and they go 6 and 10. Now you're like number 15, number 20, low 20s pick. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you would think they're scary. They could go into oblivion. I mean, they try and push Saquon. He's getting a lot of marketing deals, obviously being in New York. But I mean, at the same time, like looking at the Knicks, and somebody said, a kid quote about nobody wants. It's not cool to play. Or Zion, right, was like, I don't want to play for the Knicks. It's not even cool to play. It's like, yes, it's a big market, but it's not even cool playing. And that's the thing. It's like those franchises are at risk of just becoming oblivion, anonymous compared, and that's the crazy thing. But looking at that side of the NFC though, we'll stay over there. We talked about in the West on the Seahawks and Rams a little bit, but the Niners playing the Dolphins today. What are your talking about that game?
I think we're seeing what we expected 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had like, I think in week 1, like maybe 6 injuries, 5 or 6, and then by the end of week 2, they had 10 injuries, like 10 or 11, and you're starting to see everybody else scouting them and seeing that these second tier guys coming in, they're executing, they're doing what they're supposed to do. They just don't have the same talent level, so people are starting to pick up on that. And once somebody picks it up, now I'm going to copy what you did, Wayne. Yeah. And then somebody's going to copy what we did and just keep repeating what works. And there's no way out of that. You know, it's a hole. They're in a hole. So today we saw the worst case scenario, and then when Garoppolo came back, obviously he's not 100%. His ankle is not 100. His timing is off. And Miami's defense has always been pretty stubborn. I mean, that first game against New England, they were in it. It was like 14-11 in the fourth quarter. So, you know, Miami, hats off to them, man. Fitzmagic, Fitz roller coaster, did his thing. He didn't do any progression. He was like a high school quarterback. There you are. I'm flinging it to you. Catch it. Okay, let's go. I mean, he didn't have to do all that stuff because he knew exactly where the Niners were weak in the secondary, and they couldn't bring in a pass rush. You know, people say, you know, they shouldn't have let DeForest Buckner go, especially my family and friends who are 49er fans. And DeForest is part of a pretty good defense in Indianapolis now, right? But they did pick up some new guys in the draft. They just need time to get healthy and put it back together. I think once they do that, the West is still going to be the best division. But today was definitely an outlier for them. You know, Mostert came back, right? He did a nice job.
Yeah.
And then McKinnon is still there.
Yeah, I know. I had McKinnon. I had to start McKinnon, so that's what I was kind of mad about. I had to just grab McKinnon because the Bronco game is moved till next week. So, like, I had Melvin Gordon starting because, you know, I still have Christian McCaffrey on the bench. But it's funny. So, and Fitzmagic had a great game, but I had him on my bench. But it's okay because I had Mahomes starting, who had an even better game. Fitzpatrick, you never know what you're going to get, but obviously a good one today, throwing for 3 touchdowns, 22 of 28, 350 yards, a great game. And on the opposite side, Garoppolo, though, what is this, the lowest of his quarterback rating ever for him? And is it like, is that scary? Is he going in that direction, like, or is it just...
I think he gets 1 week of reps, he'll be okay, but they can't really... I don't know if they can get him through all his reps without putting stress on that ankle. You know, ankle injuries are tricky. You know, sometimes you play on it just fine, and sometimes it's like, you know, and they do run some play action, rollout stuff. McKinnon, I wasn't following the game too close. Is McKinnon hurt, or he only had 1 carry?
No, he's not hurt. He played. I mean, I didn't see that he got hurt. He just...
So he was basically just. I mean, Wilson got 4 carries.
Maybe he was just. 11. Yeah, I mean. I don't know why. I have no idea why. So
if he's a little bit banged up, maybe they use this as a chance.
So he got that. He had to pay that fine. I mean, like, he wasn't hurt. Like, I don't know why, but so that was a tragedy there. But the Niners are now 2-3. We talked about who they have coming up next week. Obviously, is the Rams, and then they go to the Patriots and the Seahawks and Packers. I mean, they go down like murderer's row. So, like, this could be, that's the death knell for the Niners if they can't turn it around. And I don't know if they can. I mean, I don't see how they pull themselves out of this hole. Even now, obviously, they're only 2-3. They're only 2-3, but I mean, like, if they go down, if they lose to the Rams next week, which they might not. I mean, they could. Those are always toss-ups. It's gonna be on Monday night at their or on Sunday night at their place. So, you know, you never know. You never know, I guess.
It just feels like, you know, with that coaching staff, they're so good that there's no way they'll let a game get away from them, right? Never. And this is one of those games. It happens to even the best teams. You just move on. They could come back next week and beat the Rams. You know, they had some nice plays. They just didn't put it together defensively. That right quarterback was really struggling over there, you know, and he's not a starter, but he's forced to start. So
it's hard, You would think, but they lost the Eagles last week too, and it's like they're going in the wrong direction. They let the Eagles come back, and they got to turn it around. But you know, we know it's going to be tight in that division. Everybody's going to give each other hard knocks. Also in that division, the Cardinals. I had them actually in defense. They're not a great defense, but they you know, held the Jets today to 10 points. That's not surprising. You know, and so that's there in the NFC West.
Well, Flacco started for the Jets, and you know what? He's I don't know if he's a fit in that system, but he's had better days, right, when he was with the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I thought 1 week of reps they would score more than 10 points, But maybe Cardinals, maybe their defense really is, like you said, they're coming along. But I thought it was close though. It was close for a while, right? I think Kyler Murray had a pick early, and I'm like, oh my gosh, not again. He always starts out slow, like he's 5 for 12, 1 pick, and then gradually gets in his group. And in his running game, he ran for a touchdown. So by the end, it was just a blowout. But yeah, too bad for the Jets, man.
Yeah. Well, Flacco said he's worried about the guys not being able to win the games, and if he's the guy that's got to be the moral, or the support, that's morale booster, that's going to be rough as well. But like you said, he's rusty. It's been over a year since he threw a pass or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's going to be tough there. But in the we'll flip over. We'll stay in the NFC because obviously we talked about the Packers. They're one team that is battling to be possibly the best in the NFL right now. We talked about them earlier, but within that division as well in the NFC North, you got the Bears are 4-1, and talk about the Bears as well. Their 1-point win over Brady the other night. That was a good game too.
I need to respect the Bears because they're not fun to watch.
No.
It's kind of sad, right? But they've had some nice plays this year. They got those 2 running backs, right? Montgomery's doing a good job now.
Mm-hmm.
And Foles is Foles. It's like when he's on, it's pretty scintillating. But when he's not on, he's just a manager, and they just want to stay close till they get to the last 6 minutes of the game, right?
Yeah.
Khalil Mack, I've had him for most of the last 3-4 years on my team, the defensive players, and he just doesn't produce big numbers, right? He's not a guy who's going to get 15 tackles, but he controls everything inside the box. You have to be aware of him. Mm-hmm. So his value is not conducive to fantasy. It's more conducive to, if I don't watch my back, this guy's gonna break my ribs, and I'm gonna have to run if I'm not careful because I don't know where he is half the time. So in a sense, they're fun to watch in the old school way. I think Jimmy Graham, like when I was looking at that video, I don't know if you saw that one, right? But JT O'Sullivan on YouTube, he breaks down different quarterbacks, and he's talking about Foles one day, 20-minute video, and he shows Jimmy Graham running routes. And Jimmy Graham never does a hard cut; he just kind of does routes like this. Oh, and now I'm going to do a Foles. Yeah. And it's easy to stay with them if you're really focused as a defender. But he's gotten away with it because people just throw it up here, right, at this level. Yeah. And he goes and gets it. So he's having a pretty good season, like double figures in fantasy points almost every week. So they're built to beat Green Bay.
Yeah. They go to the Panthers next week. That's a winnable one for them. They have to play at the Rams. Versus Saints, at Titans, Vikings, at Packers. Again, they finally reached play the Packers on November 29th, so it'll be a while before that showdown. But yeah, that's the NFC. I think we've gone through all of the, we talked a little about the NFC South, but Tampa, game the other night. But let's jump over to AFC because I'm talking about the Chiefs game real fast because that game was another great game. This game I watched in its entirety. It was the same time as the Rams game, but the Chiefs game was so exciting. And the Raiders, it's a huge rivalry, so I expected. And then I was joking at the end, but it's true. The Chiefs committed harakiri at the end when they went for it on 4th and 7 in their own 30, I think it was. So, but I think the Chiefs are willing to let this one go. They're not going to dwell on this one. But the Raiders, on the other hand, I thought they were unleashing Ruggs even more than they had before, and that that's a team they wanted to beat. Obviously, it's been so long since they beat the Chiefs that.
Ruggs is healthy now, right? So he's back, and I had him on 2 of my teams, and then I was in a tight squeeze a few weeks ago, so I let him go off one of my other teams. In one of our leagues, we only have like 10 teams, and he had only 3 targets, 2 catches, 118 yards, right? So that's like in our league, that's points. So I didn't start him, but I'll start him probably next time. But what's interesting is him having that speed. The second he gets single coverage, Gruden and Carr, they're ready to run their play action and give them a chance.
Yeah.
Even if they don't get anything, they might get a PI. So him being back and knowing how to run routes, and that Alabama team, they all said Jerry Jeudy's the best route runner, but you can't say that he's not a good route runner because he got deep quick and the ball was out quick, and he went and got it with his 4.2 speed. So he opens everything else up for everybody.
Yeah.
So Waller probably had his best game in about 3 weeks because they couldn't just double Waller anymore, right?
Yeah.
So Waller's running screens, he's going drag routes and out routes, and catch and go, and a lot of yak.
Yeah,
So
it was nice. I have Waller on my fantasy team, so that was nice. Even though he was gashing the Chiefs, I was like, it's okay.
I don't have him on any. I screwed up.
So I'm lucky I got him. But Nelson Aguilar had a long, that was the 59-yard catch. Those are just gashes for the Chiefs. They're definitely gonna have to work on that. But Chiefs are the team now, the best team, so they're gonna get the best shot every week of every team, especially when they're playing a team.
Was this about? Do you think this was about the Chiefs' defense or about Derek Carr playing his best football?
I think it's about the Chiefs' defense. No offense to Derek Carr, I just think Carr. I don't know if he did anything great. I think the Chiefs' defense is they look confused. I think when we go back and break down the tape, I think first of all, the Raiders gave him a long time to develop plays, so there's really such little pass rush. They were like, oh, the Shark tapped the ball. And they're like, see, he's disrupting plays. But I'm like, he needs to bring him down. I mean, yes, it's good, but at a certain point, you cannot give Carr all day to just let things happen and people get open.
I thought Frank Clark would get in more often, and he's been up and down ever since he's been there. And, he signed a good contract, and then I had him on my team. I mean, earlier this year, and he's a guy who's dangerous, but then he's not dominant. Yeah. So they need to bring more people.
They do. Only one sack today. That's it. Willie Gay, the linebacker, got a sack for the Chiefs. Yeah. But I mean, that's not gonna do it if you want to disrupt the passing game like that. We got some sirens going on for the Raiders back there. Is a Raider fan celebrating too hard or Laker fans? Which one is it tonight? But the Raiders, a lot of Raiders and Laker fans overlap, so a good day, I'm sure, for them. Some of them are also LAFC fans. A good day for
Black and silver, baby.
They're black and silver.
Josh Jacobs, man.
Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer Smith.
So what are the Raiders? Let me see.
Yeah, now I'm looking at.
So Kansas City's 4-1. Raiders are 3-2. All right. Chargers and Broncos are 1-3. So the Raiders just need to play football. They just keep doing this, they'll make the playoffs. They don't have to be spectacular, right? They don't have to be spectacular. If the teams bring 7 in the box, 8 in the box, then it's easy pickets. Just go to Rubs. The other guy that didn't come back yet, Brian Edwards, right? He had a real nice preseason, and they called him the best route runner. He's about 6'4", right? But he hasn't had an impact yet. So
I guess
they're still not there yet. They're not 100% healthy yet.
So with the Raiders, though, it's like we wanted to see Mariota play. We were hoping for people who are not Raiders fans, but just Mariota fans, which is all of Hawaii. So I don't know if that's going to happen at all this year.
Up, right? Yeah.
I mean, he's still healing up. But if and I think it's powerful to bring in somebody that it pushes the front, the lead man, the QB1 to have to play harder. And I think it worked in Green Bay. I mean, not that Aaron Rodgers needed any more motivation, but I think it does motivate him. I think Jordan Love's situation absolutely motivates him to play better, no doubt.
I think we talked about it before, but even on some of the reports I read today, one report didn't quote anybody, but the writer claimed that there were sources from within the organization who said that when they saw Marcus in preseason, they weren't impressed for whatever reason, right? And then he got hurt. So for me, I think my theory is he still hasn't been in a system where they told him, if you don't throw the ball deep like every single time we want you to, like 9-10 times a game, just unload it, then you're going to sit. He's always been in very disciplined systems. You take what they give you, you move on, use your feet sometimes. And then when he got hurt in Tennessee, they kind of held him back. They were afraid of him getting hurt. And part of it is like when you love somebody, you have total respect for a guy, you care about him. I think they cared about Marcus so much, they said, stop running. And he complied, right? He's a team player.
What you're saying is they really hated RG3 then. They detested RG3 in Washington. If they basically had tear up, already his knee was torn up. They're like, hey, get back in there. And then he just got beat up all over again.
But if they get to the point where Marcus is like unloading it in practice and oh, okay, this is the arm we heard about. Then he can push him. But right now, I think the pressure on Carr is, look, we gave you 2 rookie wide receivers. Yeah, one is hurt, but Ruggs is healthy now. You better go deep. If you don't, we're gonna move on. So he's letting it fly, and it's working. It's beautiful. Yeah. Even if you hate the Raiders, you gotta respect Ruggs.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
line, you gotta respect them. Yeah, that
O-line
is great. That O-line is gonna be. Yeah, I think they're separating themselves too. Both the Chiefs and the Raiders. I mean, the Chiefs, but the Raiders are sticking around, and I'm not sure the rest of the teams, because I don't see the Broncos really making a push, and I thought the Chargers would be making a better push. I know people are very sad about Justin Herbert taking the starting job and the way that he did it, but I mean, it was going to happen anyway, so I don't understand the outpour for. I mean, he's a good guy, obviously, Tyrod Taylor, but tomorrow they play New Orleans, and that's an interesting game because two teams who are still kind of looking to find their groove, and neither of them have. That's why the Monday night schedule is so awkward too. I feel like we have a lot of these teams. They need to flex. They gotta find a way to flex Mondays. They gotta find a way to flex Mondays at this point. Just flex a game on Sunday to Monday, because
don't you understand? You just don't change. I mean, it's I wish they would flex too. But you know what? Chargers, Saints, there's been worse Monday night games, right? So,
okay, there have been. But as long as they can give us a good game, I guess, is what I'm saying. But Michael Thomas still being out it takes away a huge part, such a huge part of their offense, and it just seems like they're never gonna. They're not. It's not even fun to watch the Saints, because that's when you want to see. Are they gonna go to Kamara? Or are they gonna go to Thomas? It's like you want to see what's gonna happen, and it's like you don't have that same thing right now. But that game is tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Breeze has had chances to go to Traquan Smith and other guys, Emmanuel Sanders, and when they show the replays, it's like he just couldn't let it go because he wasn't sure exactly what kind of cut they were going to make. And some of these guys are new to the system, or they're still fairly young. But Traquan's been in it for 3 years. With Michael Thomas, he knew exactly what Mike was going to do. Mike knew Breeze was going to do some timing, just immaculate, right? 100 how many catches? 120 catches, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they still got Kamara. They still got the DBS, so they're gonna run the ball. They're gonna be safe. They got Cooks. I don't know if he's hurt, but they'll be okay. It's just that if his arm is 10% weaker than it was last year, just because of age, it'll show up down the line. Defensive coordinators are gonna see that. They're gonna tweak their defenses and go, hey, look, we don't have to worry about this route and this route when they're in this formation because he can't make that throw as well as he used to, right? If that's true, that's a big disadvantage, right? But if it's not true, he's going to burn them eventually because they're getting, week after week, they're getting more reps together. And then when Thomas comes back, they're going to be devastating again. But I like the Chargers. I like Herbert. I picked him up on 2 or 3 of my teams. I mean, he just gets it out so quick.
Yeah, he does.
Right? So in college, the comparison between him at Oregon and Marcus.
Him and Marcus,
And Tua, right? Tua never got an offer from Oregon, right? And then I asked him one day, I said, you think they're going to offer because Marcus was there just like, I don't know. But they have these other guys.
Interesting.
And Justin Herbert was one of them.
Interesting.
So, for whatever reason, they didn't know if Tua could make those same kind of throws, but obviously he can.
I feel like they had that. I feel, the relationship, yeah.
He's got the gun, and then he gets sacked a lot too. He's learning, but he's my backup on 2 or 3 teams. I don't know if I'm crazy or what, but my gut feeling says, you know what, he's going to get the ball off quick. He's not going to dilly-dally and get wrecked. He's not a guy who wants to run unless he absolutely has to. So that works because he's another guy like Rivers was. He'll dump it off. He'll give the running backs the ball. He'll look for his tight end, Hunter Henry. He'll distribute. But they're not going to really go deep, I think, unless they can run the ball a little bit better. Because as soon as they have the ball, they score or they punt. Their defense is just getting worn out, right? So all the good teams now, they're not so obsessed with, we have to go 4 wide, right? We need to run the ball. Unless so many teams, right, like Minnesota, ball control.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't like it, but you do what you got to do to win. It's tough.
You got to do what you got to do to win. This league is it's going to be very close. A few changes here and there, a few ways, a punt, a bad snap, anything could happen. But we're going to end the show and staying in one certain division. We're going to talk about the AFC North. Obviously, the Steelers aren't going to play this week. But we'll talk about the Browns first, and they're 4-0 in their last 4 games. So maybe that first game at Baltimore, obviously they played the Baltimore Ravens. So even if we throw out that game, and we could, the Browns look pretty good. I mean, and playing Indianapolis, obviously they had a pick six. The Browns that helped out their offense, but a pretty good day there for the Browns. Kareem Hunt scored a touchdown, but I don't know. You never know. They play the Bengals next week. They could win there. They play the Lions. They could win there. They play the Ravens again. So maybe we'll see. I don't know. They could be. You know, who knows? Who knows what they could be? Or they don't play. No, sorry. I'm not looking at the right schedule right now. But the Browns next week they got Pittsburgh next week, so that'll be their first real test, or another real test to see since they played Baltimore. But they're looking pretty good though. The Browns.
The Steelers defense, that like second best against the run in fantasy. So I don't know how that translates to real stats, but you know I wasn't expecting that because my whole focus on Pittsburgh has always been like, is Big Ben coming back? It's going to be 50%, 90%. I mean, he looks so far from what little I've seen, like he's about 95 to 100% of what he was, maybe better, right? Mm-hmm. And today they didn't have John T. Johnson back early. That killed me. Yeah. And Juju, I don't think he's 100% because he's not getting targets. So they found other ways to win. This kid, Claypool, right? He ended up with like 10 catches for 5 million yards. I think he had three receiving touchdowns in one. I didn't pick him up last week, right? And then he was available in 2 of my leagues, and I kind of was looking at him and like, who do I drop? How do I squeeze this in? Oh, somebody else picked him up, and by the end of the day, like he was all gone. Everybody picked him up. I think if he ends up becoming like their leading receiver this year, it wouldn't be shocking though. Whereas last week it was like, there's no way because Juju and Johnson will be healthy, but Johnson hurt his back. He had a concussion. Now I'm like, they're finding ways to win with their defense, and Connor's healthy. And if he gets hurt, you know, Snell's a pretty good backup. So they've got enough talent to do this. But I don't think, you know, what's the odds of them going 16-0? Not very good, but 12-4, right? 13-3, 11-5, reasonable, 11-5. But yeah, them and the Browns, and then like the Ravens being at division. I mean, right now, we're looking at probably win-loss compiled records, right?
Yeah,
they're the best in the
NFL,
definitely.
Right? Yes. Yeah. No, they've surpassed NFC West. And we're looking just at that, and the way they've done it too, I think it's pretty impressive. But now, you know, teams are starting to separate themselves out. The Steelers are such a strange team. It's like they feel like they've always, you know, they're always going to be there, which they always are. But yeah, it's like, you know, Claypool. It's like, okay, like how do they get these guys and most top 4 touchdowns? It's like, wow, you know,
it's insane. Claypool, like he's like 6, isn't he like 6'3", 220, something like that? He's just a specimen, right? Yeah. And he can get up. He's not just a big guy. He's fast. He can get up. It's amazing.
6'4", 238. Yeah.
They've been drafting great receivers. I mean, Antonio Brown. You go back, it's like for the last 10 years. Yeah. They just got it. I mean, they have that.
Well, how many people you think started Claypool in the whole world on their fantasy team?
Started? I bet you.
Oh, I wonder how many people picked him up. Is he gone in your league already too?
So I think he's gone in all 4 of my leagues. No, I picked him up for our 8-man, our kids basketball team, our dads and our kids. We have an 18 league, so I picked him up there. But yeah, I was too slow. All day. I don't know what's wrong. I used to just like, who cares? Just cut this guy and pick up the new guy. I don't know. I'm not doing it as much this year. I think I lost my nerve or something. I'm getting too conservative in my old age.
Yeah, I put a waiver claim on him, Chase Claypool.
yeah. So look, when the Ravens and the Browns play again, right? I mean, it was a blowout the last time. I think, you know, even though I have Baker Mayfield on one of my Superflex teams, right? And he always does this. He has a great first half, 20 points or whatever, 25 points. Second half, they get conservative. He turns the ball over, and he goes from like 26 points back down to 20. That's exactly what happened today. And they win. right? So they're asking him to go against his nature, and he's willing to do it. But as far as like owning him, only in Superflex, right? Only as a third quarterback, and really he should be a backup in Superflex. And when they play the Ravens in a few weeks, I think it's going to be different because even without Chubb, they found they're really embracing their identity, right? So Kareem Hunt is like, look, I want to get 15 targets. I only got 7. We won. Okay, move on. Let's move on. He's not getting upset. Whereas if he was young, he might be showing a little.
Well, I mean Kareem Hunt obviously.
Not Kareem Hunt, but I mean Odell.
Odell. Oh yeah, Odell.
Yeah.
No, and I think Odell is turning into more of a team player. I agree. Well, we have one question as well. Timmy asks, do you think another coach will be fired soon? O'Brien, now Dan Quinn, the Falcons coach, finally being resolved. And Gates, he said, how does Gates still have his job, though? So that's what he's saying.
Yeah. There's some reports online that Quinn is gone. Julio didn't play again today. I think ownership, they have contact with their front office. They have contact inside the actual structure of the on-field guys. And if they sense that morale is like sunk to an all-time low, maybe that's the turning point. They just say,
and it is. I mean, like it's been a landslide since 28-3. I mean, we literally know the moment where everything changed, and I don't know what it was at the Falcons, but I mean, I remember watching that season. Obviously, that the Super Bowl was great, but them playing the Rams that year, winning like 48-0 against the Rams, and like, I mean, Matty Ice, that was his MVP season. He was on target. I mean, Julio, and it's like you said, teams maybe figured them out or whatever, but they've since 28-3, they've never been the same. And like Atlanta fans, it must be like what's gonna be next.
I know injuries, right, on defense. Their whole secondary has been just destroyed. Basically, there are a bunch of first and second year players back there. So, last week, right, I think it was Monday night, right, Aaron Rodgers just picked them apart. With their tight end who never caught 3 touchdown passes in the game ever in his life. So I feel for Quinn and the team, but at some point where even if everybody's healthy, the upside is limited for whatever reason, but you can only do it if you have a plan, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't have a good plan, somebody can step in now and make them competitive. Then it's not working.
I think that's what's going to happen. But Matt Ryan 36, Julio Jones 32. I think this is his last year. They're going to use him as bait for something.
Is his contract up this year?
I don't know. Let me see Julio Jones' contract. I just think they're going to fire sell everything. I think. I mean, that's just the best way for them to be able to start new. But you're like that's probably not going to be this year. They'll have one of the assistants or somebody. 3 years, $66 million.
Do you think, Wayne, this is the time for them to just say, you know what, let's give all the young guys a lot of opportunity, and we're not going to play to lose, but we're just going to give them a lot of experience, and if we end up tanking, fine, right? If we win half our games from this point, fine.
Yeah, I think they can still.
That doesn't mean they bench Matt Ryan, though.
No, it doesn't even mean that they bench Julio Jones. I think he can still get his numbers. I think for him. He wants out. They got him locked in, I guess, through 2023. But I can see him. I mean, it's over. I don't think the Falcons. They got to start the process over again from the beginning. I think. But who knows? Maybe a new coach might change everything because like the Texans the Texans said JJ Watt was all over O'Brien, right? JJ Watt was like he lost the locker room. It's over, and O'Brien, who I thought was overrated anyways, after he left Penn State, like they made him seem like he was like the greatest coach ever. But that helped. That helped clearly boost morale, and like that changed everything. But maybe that's what'll happen in Atlanta.
I would be curious to see like who the top 3, top 5 wish list coaches would be, right? You're down there in the South, so automatically people are going to, writers, columnists going to throw Saban's name in there.
Yeah, obviously. Saban's going to always be the name whenever.
Dabo Sweeney. I saw Dabo Sweeney's name mentioned in another place, it wasn't nothing legit. It was just something fun for somebody.
Yeah, I can't see him in NFL. I can't see him in NFL. I think he's a recruiter, Dallas Sweeney, in my opinion.
Yeah, but college guys going to the pros is a very limited success rate. It's a different culture.
It's a way different culture. Yeah, it's a different game. I mean, I could see Saban to redeem himself.
Authoritarian, right?
Yeah.
In college, you're like a dictator, not a benevolent dictator.
Of course, benevolent.
And the NFL is the opposite.
Only.
Grown man, you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
But I think Saban, he's older and wiser, and he would delegate more. He still understands people. He still knows the focus it takes. I don't think he should leave Alabama. But him or Sweeney, I could see them doing it in the NFL. If they kind of just detach a little bit and let the guys do their thing, but step it up, when they need that push. And fan interest for Atlanta would be huge if those guys were interested, right? Not that they would leave. But outside of that, there are a lot of good candidates, right? Yeah. Bieniemy, right?
Of course, Bieniemy has to be up there, but I think he does want to stay. He doesn't, and but like you said, yeah, and like Timmy says, Bieniemy deserves a gig, and I think he does, but it's such a different job. I don't know if Bieniemy is the same type of leader as head coach, but I mean, not to say he would grow into one, but I feel like he's just feeling so comfortable in that OC role that he might not want to leave.
He's ready for the head job.
Yeah, it's like Jason Garrett, right? Jason Garrett's back in the saddle again as offensive coordinator, though. Just Jason Garrett got 10 years to try and be a head coach, right?
Would it shock you if Atlanta said, Jason, put your name in the hat because you would have a legitimate shot, and then he gets hired? Then would you be shocked or surprised?
I wouldn't be shocked or surprised. I think that that Jason Garrett, I thought he was a pretty good coach. I thought he had like the panache to be the coach too, and especially in Dallas, it's not easy. But I consider that any job in the NFL would be something that anybody would jump back into. But you have to. It's like being a politician, right? It's like this can only win if. Oh, I mean, it's likely going to end the bad way, but it can't end too many great ways. And you stick yourself out there, and you kind of figure out how it's going to go. But Jason Garrett had a decent career.
Whoever I hired, if they don't have their own hand-picked DC, I would have them bring in Dave Aranda. Because Dave Aranda knows exactly how to deal with all these funky new offenses that are fairly new still to the NFL. RPO's been in there for a few years now, but Dave Aranda's already seen everything. Yeah. There's nothing the NFL can do to him that he hasn't seen before. So if Dave Aranda doesn't get a chance to be a coach in the NFL like right away, I would definitely be interested in him. I don't know if he would leave, but he just got the job at Baylor. But you would have to think about it because they're having problems in the NFL.
No, yeah. I mean, all these exotic designs and schemes are coming, but especially that was...
how many guys I noticed today were like under 5'9", making big plays?
Yeah.
It's totally different now. You don't need to be Harold Carmichael in 6'8", like in the 70s. If you're fast, if you can catch the ball, you got a good job in the NFL. So Dave Aranda will be like, okay, you get a guy like him with the defensive mind, he's got some fire, but he's still respected. And then it doesn't really matter who your head coach is. And if the enemy's that guy, even better.
Oh yeah,
but he's still fairly young. I think he's in his maybe late 40s.
Well, other names, old names. Timmy brought up Josh McDaniels, who you think would be a name, but Josh McDaniels, I think after his chance in Broncos, I feel like he doesn't want to go back, but maybe he would. He also puts in He also says Kellen Moore might get a gig. Maybe I could see that as well. And I think these X's and O's guys but I like your point, Paul, to the defensive guys, because it's like everybody talks about the offensive minded coaches, right? Or become head coaches, but you have these defensive guys as head coaches. O'Brien was supposed to be that guy as well, right? But we'll see how it comes or how it happens. Oh, Seth Nolan that's saying hi to our fans in there. Nolan says happy for LeBron and the Lakers. Yes. So cannot wait for UH football to start. Yes. So hopefully that starts as well.
2 weeks away. 13 days.
Yes. So we're hoping on it. It's I feel like even at the Mountain West, they're still wondering whether the games are going to happen. Every school is still like kind of just squeezing Okole a little bit, but
this is
we're in crunch time.
Crazy. Yeah, this is like when you go to the meeting for the rec league, and you're the team manager, and you pay your fee, and then they tell you, oh, by the way, the gym is going on the renovation, so we're going to check your email. We're going to send you the schedule. And if it changes and then it changes 2 times during the week, and the game that you're supposed to have on Saturday got postponed, and then you got to wait for the next email. It has that feel, right?
It does.
That crazy feel.
Yeah, it does. And I think it's all wait and see. I'm excited. I'll be there in Fresno. If you watched the show from this past week, Wednesday, I did a little Fresno look back. Maybe I'll just do all Fresno in this next show because it's such a fun rivalry. From the 99 game, my favorite game when I was 16, jumping on the field when Billy Volek sailed that long bomb or throw in overtime over his receiver, said Fresno, and June Jones turned the worst of first year. A lot of good memories from that Fresno, that game, and just everything. Pat Hill, everybody, yeah. Derek Carr played in that rivalry. David Carr played in that rivalry. I mean, we have so many guys that have players that play in the NFL that have gone through this rivalry, and that on both sides, and that the Central Valley, I come to respect a lot, having worked there, worked with Fresno Pacific University in D2, and just that area and how proud a lot of those people are, and being from there. So they have a lot of great talent, and it'll be exciting. But for UH and for the fans, it's an open book. We don't know, but I broke down a little bit of the base scheme. The play action, run play action is really where everything starts, and obviously Coach Graham's offense. So it's really exciting because especially with that article coming out about the receivers coach at Howard, and he developing that offense based off of like offenses from like the 50s and 60s, which I love, by the way. I love that. And how Cliff Kingsbury stole one of his plays. There's an article that somebody shared too in the Warrior Nation, but CNNSI or something. CNNSI, that's really old. But somebody shared, it was Sports Illustrated or USA Today, and that's a good story from Howard, offensive coordinator, and William and Mary, and then coming to UH to be receivers coach. So you clearly, he knows that he needs to build himself back up. He probably won't be at UH very long, maybe a year, but it'd be interesting to see what he can put into the playbook as well.
Yeah, the first year of a new playbook is a nightmare for all the other coaches in the conference, right? Because they have all they can go on is like his old stuff at other schools, right? But after a couple of years, 2-3 years, then they start to figure out. And then with June Jones, he was fortunate enough to be like such a good recruiter because he always said, if we're on ESPN, that's my best recruiting tool. But Monday morning, I come to my office and there's like a pile of VHS tapes sitting on my desk because they saw us play, and all these quarterbacks playing JC ball in high school. Yeah, they see that I'm going to throw 50, 60, 70 times a game no matter what. So with the new coach Graham and these guys, whatever they're going to run, it's worked before, and it's going to be a big plus advantage during the first year, and especially because like there's no non-conference. It's like no scouting. Yeah. Unless they have like a secret scout up in Loilani or one of those dorms. I don't think so.
Maybe they have a plug they put in. Every school's paying them. You could totally. Wow, that's a good business if you're like I don't know if some kid would do like you live in Noelani and you sell out to every team. That'd be really crazy and espionage. But
that would not work. The word would get around real quick. And they would stick his head in the toilet.
Well, did you see like on Last Chance U though, right? How that team from Kansas gets really sucky, and they go down into because they focus on before they went to Oakland on Last Chance U on Netflix and featured the guy who now plays for UHDR and his team at Laney. They were in Kansas, and that team in Kansas was like amazing, and then the next year they're like 1-8 in their last year, and usually that follows the best team, right? So they predict who's going to be like the best team. But by the end of the show, you realize that some of the coaches who got pulled away, they were just taking the playbook, and even coaches within the conference had the playbook, and they're like, I will neither confirm nor deny that we all have the playbook, but like everybody knew the plays by then. So it's hilarious.
There are coaches right around like Miles Davis and June and Cal Lee and stuff. They don't mind showing you the basics of their stuff, their route. Well, Ron Lee says they don't have a route tree, right? But basically, they read the defense. So whatever you do, we have our counter.
Of course.
So whether you have the playbook or not, a lot of coaches are so confident
Yes.
They feel like you
Of
still
course.
can't defend it because
Yeah.
we're going to adjust.
Of course.
The offense always had the advantage as long as you have superior talent at quarterback. Right?
And I think that's what Shevin,
Well, this is-
especially, and I think
Shevin,
Shevin has
yes.
is cerebral, and he just like most of those quarterbacks, they're given complex schemes and they have to make quick decisions. So I think he has.
Well, I'm curious if they're expecting Shevin to completely learn completely different terminology and schemes, or if they're going to play to his strengths, because he's been in the run and shoot since 7th grade, right?
Yeah.
So basically 6 or 7 years. You know, it's like being a master.
I mean,
in
he's
a
got
certain type
at
of
least 2
martial
years. I mean, he got at least 2 years, so I think they'll probably work that in. But I think Shevin too he's not their guy too. So if they find somebody else, who knows? I think Shevin is great, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. So I think he'll be fine, and he's underrated on his feet.
Yeah, he's extremely bright, so he'll catch on. And he can move, so they'll figure out okay, this is where you bail and you go and you slide.
Yeah.
Go out of bounds, slide. Don't
He doesn't slide that often. He slides head first. That's what he does.
Sliding.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough for them, executing it. But again, the other teams don't know what they're doing, so
they don't.
Should be interesting.
Should be interesting, and we're talking about UH football. We talked about the NFL. We talked about the Lakers. It's been a great show. Sending a mahalo to Paul Honda. Another big week, and we're gonna have you back next week, right, Paul? And the Lakers are champions.
Take care.
Take care, Magic. Here we go. See you next week, guys. Aloha.